Well, hello, lovely ladies. I guess I use that all the time, don't I? Good morning, Trish. Good
Hello there, Miss
afternoon,
Carol.
Katalin. How are you today?
Hello.
You first, Katalin. How are you, my dear?
Oh, I didn't. I think we were talking at the same time. I didn't hear anything. Well, I am good because the sun returned to Portugal, and after we had 0 and -1 degree, which is completely unusual here. Now today we had 10 degree, 14. So I'm good.
Lovely, which means you're going to have yoga on the beach on Sunday, maybe?
Yes, for sure. Even last weekend I had, and it was just 7 degree.
Lovely. And Trish, how are you doing in your snow cone, in your igloo? It's not an igloo anymore.
No, well, backstage, I was telling you gals how much gratitude I have this morning because our power was out for 27 hours and we were shocked at how, what whiners we were. We were such whiners, and then we realized how lucky we really are. So, very happy today to have electricity.
Lovely.
How about you, Carol?
Well, I'm just pleased because, yeah, then this means we've all got internet and we can all be here together. And for those that are listening to us on our podcast and not watching the live stream, hello and welcome. We're pleased that you're here listening to our show. We are really excited today. And this is a good way to be kicking off January in 2021 to welcome our first guest on our show. And so we are about to bring Lis Hubert to join us from CX by Design. Lis is not only a dear friend to all of us, so we are fortunate to know this wonderful lady, but we wanted to share just a touch about her professional background. So Lis and Diana are the co-owners of CX by Design. And Lis is going to come and tell us a lot more about what's behind that. But Lis is an acclaimed design and strategy thought leader, writer, and a speaker with extensive experience in digital strategy, customer experience, which is the CX, information architecture, and design thinking. As a founding partner, as I mentioned, of CX by Design, she has made it her mission to help companies meet their strategic goals. She does this by making the invisible visible through research, making the complex simple through her unique perspective, and bringing understanding and meaning through expert facilitation. With over a decade of designing successful products and strategies for clients of all sizes, her passions lie in helping her partners think holistically about driving and enacting real change. Lis helps businesses not only increase their bottom line, but also their longevity through customer loyalty. So, welcome, Lis. We are
There she is.
have you join us. So,
Welcome, Liz. Good to see you, girl.
Hey, everyone. I miss you, ladies.
you're looking gorgeous, and thank you for joining us. Glad
to be here.
I know we're all on different time zones, but one of the things we were talking about was, are you a morning or an evening person? How about you, Trish? What's your preferred time of the day?
Liz, it is so good to see you. And your hair looks beautiful, my friend. It's so fun to have a reason to get dressed up. Yeah. I would say, Carol, I'm definitely a night owl. I sleep pretty well, luckily, and I'm up maybe till midnight, and I probably get up around 8 o'clock. Coffee, journaling on a good day, just coffee every other day. So that's me.
Lovely. Liz, how about yourself?
I have a deep-seated desire to be an afternoon night person. I think those people tend to be much cooler and more popular, but I am a self-admitted morning person. Right. Yeah. I get up usually, I get up whenever I give myself enough time to do yoga every day and make myself breakfast and make sure I get to my desk. But I do my best thinking in the mornings for sure.
No, I love that. I think mornings are my creative space. I feel like my brain has rested for the evening, and I like to use that time to block out a good time of self-care. And it's kind of funny because from the night side, Trish, Rob jokes with me, my head hits the pillow and it's 5 minutes and I'm asleep.
Wow.
It could be as early as 10 o'clock. So what about you, Katalin? Morning or evening?
I am definitely a night owl because I have the feeling otherwise that I'm missing out on something if I go to bed before 1 a.m.
Same.
And also because I am most productive in the morning. So the evening it's the pleasure. It's for whatever makes me happy, and I need time for it.
That's wonderful, and that's important. Yeah, so I have my 2 night owls, and we've got, look at us, we're perfect. 2 mornings and 2 nights. There we go.
You got me thinking. I'm missing a thinking window, though, Katalin. Are we missing that thinking window that Liz was mentioning? Maybe we're doing it in our sleep.
There you go. So, Liz, tell us about you in a nutshell. We know you, but tell our audience.
Gosh, I think I'm in transition right now for some reason. I'm like, this question usually is much easier, but I think all of us in the world are in some sort of transition during this time. But you heard my professional experience, which sounds very, very good. I don't know if I wrote that, but it's pretty true. I grew up in a small town, part of a big family, and weaved my way through college and different living situations across the U.S. To Manhattan. Eventually, I lived in New York City for 9 years, and that's where I started my first solopreneur business. And also that was in customer experience and user experience. And that's where I met my business partner, Diana, and dear friend. And from there, it really sparked into my love of travel and trying to make the most of my life. And that's kind of what I've been doing since I left New York in 2016. And so I lived in Washington State on the West Coast of the US for a while. And then I was location independent, which is when I met you, Carol, and the rest of these lovely ladies. And now I am still a digital consultant. I'm back in my hometown in New York due to the pandemic. That's my life story in a nutshell, but who I am as in a nutshell is, I guess, in progress. I'm a work in progress.
I love it.
Yeah, I think to be open to that, absolutely. I mean, none of us are finished.
Right.
But and it's that thing of living in the moment and living now and pulling ourselves. And Katalin, you teach that a lot to us in yoga, and the mindfulness of the importance of being present.
Yes.
So, acknowledging we will have highs and lows. That is par for the course. But I'm celebrating the high of being together with all of you ladies now.
For sure.
Liz, is there a special story behind CX by Design that you could share with our listeners? You mentioned that you and Diana met many years ago, and now she's not only a friend, but a partner in this business venture.
Audience members, just so you know, these ladies are very prepared, and they sent me these questions beforehand, and I was thinking about this question. And the three of you know Diana, and you know me very well. Obviously, everyone listening doesn't yet know us. And I feel like we both have big personalities, and there are a lot of special stories, but I can't think of one special, like, this is a CX by Design story that's unique to, I think they're more like that's a unique story. It's more like, I think our approach and the women that we are and the business partners we are together is much more of the specialty, if that makes sense. And to share a little bit about that, it's like we have both been business women beforehand and decided to come together to create this very intentional business with this idea of business being a value exchange, not just a way to earn profit. Business being the medium through which we help others, the way we contribute to our community, we help others contribute to their communities. And we do that through helping people remember that behind all this technology, you're still talking with people.
Love
I love that.
Yeah.
And if I recall, you and Diana, when you started, were not on the same, were you even on the same continent when you started your business? You certainly were you on opposite sides, East, West Coast? I can't remember.
I actually think we were in the same time zone. I think I was still living in Washington State when we very first started CX by Design. And then this goes to a little bit about our working relationship where, and any of your audience members that you're working with other business partners, I'm sure you have your own, you're probably smiling a little bit as I'm talking about this, where it's like, I came to Diana one day and I'm like, hey, yeah, I know we're starting this business, but I think I'm going to become location independent and just work from anywhere. What do you think about that? And she was just like, all right. But it was because of, we set this idea of we are women getting into business together because we've already talked about what we want from a business. And I think that laying that foundation was very important.
No, I love that because the comparison is for Katalin, Trish, and myself. We are all solopreneurs, and so I wish we had more time. But I would I'd love to have discussed more the partnership and the friendship and how how to look after that. We'll have you on again as a guest at another time, because I did want to just ask you about 2020 and if it held a pivot moment, in your business. I know that we saw, you at the beginning of 2020, and you've come a long way since
My
then.
hair was not nearly as fabulous. Let's put it that way.
And longer now, quite a bit longer now.
Quite a bit longer.
Not many trips to the salon, I'm sure.
Yeah, when you asked your question about the special story, I think 2020, at least for CX by Design, is our special story in this. And I think we're going to see this a lot. And I'd love to see, if anybody's watching live, I'd love to see in the comments how many of you also have these types of pivotal moments in 2020, because our business grinded to like a stark halt. We're consultants. Most businesses were trying to hold on just to their staff. They weren't even, they just could not engage with consultants early in the year, April and May. And I should stop to say that our clients are all different types of businesses, anywhere from startups to smaller teams up to the larger corporations. Our sweet spots tends to be with businesses whom are like, I would say 100 to maybe 5,000 employees. In the sense of, and I know that's a big range, but the sense of like the people that are smaller teams rely much more on our guidance, and the people that have a little bit more of a larger team rely much more on our hands doing the work. But besides that, I think I know everybody across the board saw a lot of that. And we had to have a lot of really hard conversations, let's keep it real conversations, like, oh my God, I'm crying my eyes out conversation. And you're not crying at the same time necessarily. So one of you has to be like, what's going on? Right. But I think, when we got to a point, actually, I remember the point now that we got to the point where we were trying to secure some of the funding that the Small Business Association here in the United States was giving out. And the lady on the phone, who was very kind, but she was like, I'm sorry, we've run out of money. We just can't give you money. And I was just like, all right, this is time to go into acceptance mode. It's like acceptance, total acceptance. Like, this is beyond me right now. And same with Diana. And I think that was probably the pivot point from there for me and her.
And we are celebrating with you, because when we were backstage earlier, you're saying that you're now so busy that, and that's just wonderful. Yeah. What a gift. I'm thrilled.
Huge gift.
And Liz, was there a turning point? I wanted to ask, and Carol, I think asked this maybe in a different way a minute ago, but can you recall with you and Diana, was there a turning point where things shifted? Do you remember when that happened? Or did all that work and all that effort and frustration just kind of continue, and then one day you realized you were busy? When does that, because as you said, our listeners and each of us here has experienced it, it's been a rough year no matter what way you look at it.
Right. I think that the adage, it's always darkest before the dawn, is very true. But it's also that when it's the darkest, you can't see.
Yep.
Right. And so I think it never felt like, oh my gosh, we're all of a sudden okay again. I could say that now because I guess it's been a few months, but it wasn't a moment that we actually witnessed. It was more of a, and Katalin, I'd love to also, I know you probably have perspectives on this as well. It was more of a noticing, believing so much in who we wanted to be as a business and doing the work, noticing when we were coming up against the universe saying, nope, not this door, try another one. Nope, not this door, try another one. But not stopping, but keep trying doors. And I think eventually that focus, and what I mean by trying doors is doing the types of things, trying experiments, looking at different ways to get leads, looking at different ways to reach out to our network, looking at different ways to expand our network, doing all of the things, getting better at our craft. We just kept doing the things that were working. And I think that's how we got to where we are. But it never, ever felt like we were doing the right thing. Like, I shouldn't say that. It never felt like we were doing the thing that was going to get us to where we are now.
You just kept going.
Yeah.
That's
excellent.
You have a similar experience. I mean, a handful of months ago, you were kind of just, I've been working so hard. I'm not getting these doors to open. And
that's right.
You are now, I celebrate with both you and Liz. You're both in a wonderful place to start off January.
Yeah, and it was, for me, it was just really not giving up and trusting the process, trusting myself, even though there were no resonation, right? Nothing coming back. I was just giving to the universe, giving, doing, but I didn't get any positive feedback, which is hard because at a certain point you start to question yourself, right? Am I right? Am I doing the right thing? Am I serving someone? Do I reach out to my audience? But I guess, right. You just have to go through it.
You do, to go through it and to come out the other side.
And if I may, I think that what I'm learning, and I would be interested to hear what each of you ladies thinks. It's like that if you don't face that doubt, you're not there yet. Like, that doubt is imperative.
I love that. That is a aha moment for me. If you don't face that doubt, you're not there yet. I love that.
Yeah. And I think, I love that, because then I think it ties into confidence. And when your confidence drops, that you realize that it's not the end of the world and it's going to come back again. And you just, as you say, you don't get results without hard work. Your business is not going to just land on a plate. Not your business, but as on the corporate side, I never, even at the beginning of my entrepreneurship, I never had to sell myself. Never. I had so many contacts, and I did the same thing at the beginning of my entrepreneurship as I did in the corporate, that people reached out to me. But then I changed when I combined my passion and my career. And the first time in my life, I had to sell myself, which was, and I thought, people will knock on my door, but no, they did not. So Liz, I know that you're joining us today to help share, why having your website easy to navigate.
Oh, right.
Important. And that's not only from a huge corporate point of view, but bringing it back way down to the fact of us here as solopreneurs and having a website, whether it be a 1-page website or a 5-page website. If it's not easy to navigate, we're doing ourselves a disservice. We're doing our customers a disservice.
That's a great point. I've part of the introduction that you mentioned was a term called information architecture, which always sounds very intimidating, but that skill set is one of really, I think of it like, and it's going to relate back to the website, but I think of it like an architect. If you were contracting a house, you wouldn't just start building or start decorating without a plan. or at least thinking it through. You may not have like these formal blueprints, but you may, I know that I want at least 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms because Sam, it takes forever in the morning. And, you know, and I think when we think about our websites today, we often build them for ourselves, especially solopreneurs, but we don't need our website. Other people need our website to learn about us. And the reason why it's important to make navigating your website, or said in a more broad term, the reason it's important to make sure the information on your website is what your audience wants and needs is so that they can learn about you as quickly as possible, so that they engage with you and you can start that relationship, whether that's a reader or a viewer relationship, a client customer relationship, or a friendship. You know, who knows? But if you make your website too complex or too put too much information on there, or information that people don't want or need, that's going to be a problem for your business. Just plain and simple. I think one of the things we've been talking a lot about in the different speaking circuits that we're on right now is this idea of trying to figure out what it is your website person, attendee, participant, user. There you go.
Like an avatar.
I'm a professional. Your website visitor. That's what it is.
Visitor.
Professional. Don't worry, everyone. But the part of the, really trying to understand, why are they visiting my site? When they come to visit my site or my social media page, whatever it is, what are they intending to do? And is the content that I have or the functionality meeting their intentions, or allowing them to meet their intentions for visiting? And it's really, am I allowing them to do what they want to do in order to find out about me? To get down to the simplest version. And so I think those are the reasons. I could geek out on navigation all day, but that's really
Yeah, and it is, I love what you said about the fact we create our website sometimes thinking for us, and then we have masses of stuff on there thinking we need to hang out all the washing, I guess. And if it's somebody else who comes there, it's going to take you 6 clicks to talk to me via email, book a call with me, buy my course, do whatever. We've lost you.
And I like your analogy of the home, the architecture, because we design a home with our needs in mind. But if you're designing a home for someone else, which is your customer, I love your analogy, Liz, because when they step into your website, what will be their expectations? What will be their needs? And I love that. That makes perfect sense to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, I explained it well.
You did. And I know, Katalin has spent a busy day today looking at the aesthetics of her site and digging behind it. I think we all knew with Liz coming up, we're like, oops, we better look at our sites and tidy them up. Do their work. But Katalin, talk to us about aesthetics and how that sits with you.
Yeah, actually, it happened by mistake. I wanted to set up a countdown timer without a plugin on Squarespace, and then I continued ended up doing cosmetic on my site. But I recognized myself when Lis said we are doing it ourselves. Yes, some sites for me are like visual pollution, right? For me, it needs to be simple and clear. Otherwise, I don't spend time there. But I don't know what my customers want. I completely recognized myself when you said we are doing it for ourselves. So
I think I don't want to. Because sorry to interrupt, by the way, but I was so passionate. I'm like, don't put on yourself, because I think as a solopreneur, our websites are a reflection of ourselves, and so the aesthetic choices you're making, you're saying this is who I am and this is who I am as a business. And I think on a certain level that is going to align with your audience, because they're buying or doing yoga with you, not with like, so I think the aesthetic is one piece of it is, but I do think thinking of yourself when you're a solopreneur in that, I think that's to an extent okay and needed, to be honest.
I love that, because I think, Liz, when you say that and you think of a corporate company having how many people to help you make that decision, ladies, aren't we lucky?
Right.
We get to design our website. And one of the things, Liz, that made me just think about, besides the fact of easy navigation, is to remind people to click on their links every now and then. You know, I raised something and I went back to my site and it was like, oops, this goes to a dead end. This goes to a dead end. And, you know, you, especially if you're working on your own website and playing with things and moving things around, to remember periodically and like fairly frequently to check that everything's going where you think you want it to go. Because, wow, you have somebody land on your website and they're ready to do business with you and they click on the link and it takes them nowhere. How many people are going to try and email you or, you know, try and call you? You've lost them.
And watch somebody else use it. Like, sit down with your husband or wife or partner and say,
oh, that's a great idea.
Can you figure out what my business is about?
Yeah.
And then say nothing else and watch them try to figure it out.
That is an excellent, oh my goodness, Liz, I was going to ask you, what tip were you going to leave with our audience? But I think that's a good one, is to just ask somebody close to you to navigate your site and keep out of it. That's going to be difficult.
And ask in such a way of use questions like, can you figure out how to get in touch with me? Do you know what I offer? When you sit down, can you look at my site and tell me what I offer?
And I love that. I bet you do that with your clients, I'm sure. Like for them to just assess that they've succeeded, that you've succeeded at what their needs are on that site. That's great. Love it.
We do it at the beginning to kind of, we talk with their users usually, at the beginning, and just to understand them, because as consultants and just as people that aren't necessarily their customers, we don't know. So we can't just come in and, we know how to make a beautiful website. It's more, we're making your website meet your customers' needs.
Right. Yeah.
So we need to know what those are first.
Right. Yeah. Lovely. Well, Liz, it has been wonderful having you join us. Katalin or Trish, I don't know if there's anything more that you think of as your own website that while we have Liz as a captive audience,
right,
we can ask her. Anything else you ladies think of?
Other than what you've just shared, I think it's gold. I love the idea of the architecture, thinking of your plan, and then going back and asking those questions. Am I succeeding at what I first set out to do and meeting my customers' needs? I think that's great.
Well, everybody, we want to say thanks again to Liz. You will find her and Diana on cxbydesign.com. I believe, Liz, you're doing a couple of webinars and have done. So if anybody wants to find those webinars or listen to them, you can just stop by her website and sign up for the newsletter. We will have all the details of where to find Liz in our show notes, but you'll find her on LinkedIn, CX by Design on LinkedIn, and then Twitter for both the company and for Liz. So thank you, everybody, for listening. We want to say that we will be back on the first Friday of February. And our topic coming up is going to be adapting to change with less worry and tools for time blocking. And I know that all three of us use different tools, and so we're looking forward to sharing and learning that. We do invite you to listen to our podcast on any of your favorite channels. We're very excited that we pretty much are out there on everything. And then we do have a website, and that is connectinspirecreate.com. On the right-hand side is a little app that you can leave us a voicemail. So if you have some topics that you'd like us to cover, some suggestions, anything that you want to share with us, feel free to leave us a voicemail. You do not have to fill in your email, but you may if you wish, and then we can get back to you. So we look forward to seeing you in February, and thank you, everybody, for joining me. Have a fabulous Friday evening, and
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you. Good to see you, Liz. So good to see you.
Good to see all of you.